Well, we are up to January 18th, and we are definitely in what I would consider the dog days of the year. Right before the All-Star break, we've seen Tampa lose a couple in a row. Some of the top teams, maybe they're not as sharp. Maybe things just even out over time, but after the All-Star break, things are gonna be fun to watch. That's when we really get into who's making which playoff spot and who's actually going to be out, and all that fun stuff. And a lot of the teams that we see right now as being close end up falling away. And there are some that we look at right now and say, oh, they're right in that dogfight. And then by March, we'll be talking about how much they suck and crappy their management is and horrible year it's been. And it's fun to be a hockey fan. First up, Buffalo, Vancouver. So two teams that are not in the playoffs, but they're both surprisingly in the playoff hunt, and they both came into the league in 1970. They're both about to hit their 50th anniversaries in the NHL, so kind of fun stuff there. And might I add that the first time that they meet next year, they should both wear the original jerseys they wore that first season in the NHL. You're welcome, NHL marketing department. The Buffalo Sabres are 24-17-6. They're 3-6-1 in their last 10. They won their last game. And on the road, they're 10-13-3. So their road record not as solid as their home record, but they're in against a Vancouver team that's not great at home either. 21-21-6, 4-4-2 in their last 10. They lost their last game, and at home they're 10-9-3 now. Top scorers for each team. Eichel leads Buffalo, of course, 16 goals, 35 assists. Skinner, 30 goals, 14 assists. Reinhart, 10 goals, 33 assists. Ristolainen, 5 goals, 24 assists. Dahlin, 5 goals, 21 assists. And Rasmus Dahlin is looking pretty spectacular for Buffalo these days. Pominville, 10 goals, 10 assists. Okposo, 7 goals, 11 assists. Connor Sherry also has 7 goals and 11 assists. Rodriguez, 4 goals now and 4 goals, 11 assists for him. And Casey Middlestad still trucking along, 7 goals, 7 assists, remains in the top 10. For Vancouver, Pettersson, who will not play tonight. That's the word, he's not playing tonight either. 22 goals, 20 assists. You get the feeling that they're kind of messing with Canuck fans, that it's like Pettersson's going to be out for the year with a torn knee ligament, and they just want us to keep buying tickets, so they're like, he might be in the next game. Maybe next game. Come on, Vancouver, prove me wrong. Let's get Pettersson into the next game after this one. 22 goals, 20 assists. He still leads the team in points. Above Horvat, 17 goals, 20 assists. Besser, 15 goals, 14 assists. Goldobin, 5 goals, 18 assists. And yeah, and I've been saying this for a while, but I'm 99% sure he's either going at the trade deadline or they're going to just find a way to be rid of him. Eriksson, 8 goals, 11 assists. Edler, 4 goals, 15 assists. Virtanen, 11 goals, 7 assists. Roussel, 4 goals, 14 assists. Granlund, 8 goals, 7 assists. And Hutton, 5 goals, 12 assists for him. So don't be surprised if after Del Zotto's gone, that Goldobin's the next one that goes. And that could happen as soon as today. It could happen before the All-Star break. I really think that Benning wants to get things settled out for Vancouver. This is a first. Ben Hutton's right here. Carter Hutton's right here. It's Hutton above Hutton. Goaltenders. I might as well check and see if anybody's confirmed. Just one goaltender confirmed so far for today, and yeah, it's not in this game. I'm thinking Hutton. He's 14-14-5, 2.75 goals against, 9-12 save percentage. They could go with Ullmark. Ullmark, after that Calgary wins, now 10-3-3, 2.86 goals against, 9-17 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. The goaltending numbers for Buffalo have been sliding along with their record. On the Vancouver side, Markstrom's 18-12-5, 2.8 goals against, 908 save percentage. This might be a good spot to throw in Thatcher Demko for his first start of the year. Playoff watch. Buffalo's 2 points out of the playoffs behind the second wild card, who are Pittsburgh right now. Vancouver's 1 point behind that schmozzle. That's the number 2 wild card spot in the West, and I don't see that huge clog clearing anytime soon. Next up, Montreal. So the Canadiens, having seen Boston win last night, realize that they've got their work cut out for them. But they've been up to the task so far this year. They're 26-17-5. They're in against the 28-15-3, and suddenly first place Columbus Blue Jackets. Yeah, first place. And I'm going to keep mentioning it because I don't know how long it's going to last. So it's really strange that they're first place with all the upheaval and people saying, oh, they should sell off Panarin and Bobrovsky. And, Brian Burke was on about a month ago on Sportsnet talking about how, well, they're not contenders anyway, so might as well just sell them off. Remember, how would you feel if that was your general manager and he'd sold them off a month ago? And you look at, anyways. The last 10 games, well, Montreal 6-4 now. They've won 3 in a row. On the road, they're 13-8-3. They're pretty solid on the road. Whereas Columbus, they're 7-3 in their last 10. They've won 4 in a row. And at home, they're 14-8-2. That all adds up to a pretty good matchup between these two teams. Your leading scorers for Montreal, Domi, 15 goals. He finally got on the goal off the goalless drought he'd been on. 26 assists for him, 41 points. Drouin, 13 goals, 22 assists. Tatar, 14 goals, 20 assists. Petrie, 10 goals, 23 assists. Dano, 8 goals, 24 assists. Gallagher, 19 goals and 9 assists for him. Shaw, 11 goals, 13 assists. He, of course, has been out for quite a while. Kotkaniemi, 6 goals, 17 assists, and showing signs of really developing that scoring consistently. Lehkonen, 7 goals, 15 assists, and Paul Byron, who, of course, is suspended, 10 goals and 8 assists to round out your top 10. On the Columbus side, Panarin, 18 goals, 34 assists. Atkinson, 27 goals, 21 assists. Dubois, 17 goals, 25 assists. Werenski, 9 goals, 18 assists. Jones, 7 goals, 20 assists. Foligno, 12 goals, 11 assists. Anderson, 15 goals and 7 assists. He's been on 15 goals for a while. Murray, 1 goal, 21 assists. Jenner, 9 goals, 12 assists. And Wenberg, who I'm wondering if he's going to be on the move because he only has the 1 goal. 1 goal, 18 assists. And it feels to me like Columbus is going to be a player going into the trade deadline. But I don't know that I see Panarin going anywhere. Bobrovsky, maybe. Starting goaltenders. Price has been confirmed for Montreal. He's the one confirmation. Niemi's 8-4-1, 3.63 goals against, 897 save percentage. 50-plus save performance will bring up your save percentage. Price, 18-13-4, 2.65 goals against, 912 save percentage, and 3 shutouts. On the Columbus side, I have no idea who to expect right now. Bobrovsky's 19-13-1. You would think he plays here. 2.93 goals against, 903 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. But Korpisalo's numbers have caught up. He's 9-2-2, 2.94 goals against, 902 save percentage, and no shutouts. Of course, Montreal, they are the number 1 wild card. They're 2 points behind Boston for 3rd place in the Atlantic. And first in the Metro, I introduced to you the Columbus Blue Jackets, who are tied with Washington, but I believe they have 1 more win than do the Washington Capitals. Therefore, mathematically right now, they are the first place team. Kind of a fun thing that I didn't really expect to see happen this year. Next up, Ottawa. The Sens, the hapless Sens, who've been better lately. They've won 3 out of 4 right now. They're in against the Carolina Hurricanes, who, Carolina the last couple of years, they would win some games, and then the games would get important, and they'd find a way to lose them. And I'm starting to get a bad feeling with this year's Carolina Hurricanes, like last year's and the year before. And they're 22-19-5. Now, in their last 10, of course, Ottawa's 3-6-1. They won their last game. On the road, they're 6-15-1, which sucks. But they won 2 out of 3 in California, so recently that hasn't been that bad. On the Carolina side of things, they're 7-3 in their last 10. Of course, they lost their last game. At home, they're 13-7-4. Definitely better at home than they are on the road. So this favors Carolina. But that being said, when Ottawa doesn't have anything to lose and just out there playing for fun, it definitely shows they're playing for fun, and it's some fun hockey to watch. Top scorers for Ottawa: Stone, 21 goals, 28 assists. Duchesne, 20 goals, 25 assists. Of course, those top 2 guys getting re-signed is a priority. The sooner Ottawa can extend their contracts, the better. Just the optics look so much better if they can keep Duchesne and Stone. Shabbat, 10 goals, 29 assists. Dzingel, 19 goals, 16 assists. Maybe re-sign that guy, too. Tierney, 6 goals, 24 assists. Ryan, 9 goals, 19 assists. White, 11 goals, 15 assists. Bodker, 5 goals, 21 assists. Kachuk, 11 goals and 11 assists. And Zach Smith, 5 goals, 12 assists. For 17 points, rounds out your top 10 with the Ottawa Senators. On Carolina's side of things, Aho, 21 goals, 30 assists. Teravainen, 10 goals, 28 assists. Williams, 13 goals, 14 assists. Ferland, 13 goals and 12 assists. Niederreiter, 9 goals, 14 assists, makes his debut tonight. Svechnikov, 11 goals, 8 assists. Slavin, 5 goals, 13 assists. Falk, 3 goals, 14 assists. Hamilton, 6 goals, 10 assists. And Wallmark, 4 goals, 10 assists, rounds out your top 10. On the goaltending side of things, well, Anderson's close enough that they've sent Högberg down. So it probably is going to be Anderson. Nilsson is now 6-11-1 with a 2.86 goals against, 904 save percentage. Anderson 14-13-3, 3.58 goals against, 905 save percentage, and a single shutout. Carolina, it's hard to say. They could go with Mrazek here. McElhinney is 11-6-1, 2.5 goals against, 914 save percentage. Mrazek's 9-9-2, 2.67 goals against, 900 save percentage, and a shutout, showing how quickly you can end up out of the race in the East. Right now, the Ottawa Senators are 15 points out of the playoffs, and Carolina's 7. Not that long ago, we were talking about Carolina being 4 points back. They've got a chance. They can do this. They lose a game. You wake up today, you're 7 points out. And of course, for me, as I've said before, the dividing line seems to be double digits. As soon as it hits double digits, it's highly likely your general manager's looking at selling players off. That being said, it seems unlikely with Carolina, considering the comments of Tom Dundon at the start of the year. All right, I had to have a drink of my beverage there. The voice was going. Anyways, yeah, Carolina was really close, and now they're not. 10 points and beyond, you're in trouble. So Carolina really needs this game tonight. And Ottawa, no pressure. None. Next up, Toronto. So the Toronto Maple Leafs have to avoid what happened to San Jose. San Jose goes out. They beat Pittsburgh. It's this big emotional victory. And then they were looking ahead to their next game against Tampa. Now, Toronto, it's not about looking ahead to the next game. It's about playing this one after beating Tampa in Tampa. Very, very easy for Toronto to have a down game tonight and Florida to kind of jump on them. There's two problems. One is the fact that having defeated Tampa in Tampa, that emotional come down will happen, much like with San Jose against Arizona. But can be easy to overlook a team that's lost 7 in a row, like Florida. 29-15-2 is now the Toronto Maple Leafs record. They sit, I believe, 14 points back of Tampa. They haven't given up. And Florida 17-20-8. It's a sad record that's been fashioned by Florida this year. 5-5 is Toronto's record in their last 10. And of course, they won last night. On the road, they're 16-5-1. We're back to a point now where Toronto is much better on the road than at home. And I'm not sure if that's pressure from the fans when they're at home, if it's pressure players put on themselves. But whatever it is, they're definitely a better team on the road. Whereas Florida's 2-6-2 in their last 10. They've lost 7 in a row. At home, they're 8-6-5. So they've only won 8 out of 19 games at home. That's not good enough. And really with Florida, it's a matter of they're not going to make the playoffs. What do they sell? What do they keep? What do they do to keep things in order and make sure that next year is the year that Florida is going to turn things around? People complain a lot about Florida's attendance, but how long has Florida been hearing about next year? Next year's going to be the year. Scoring leaders, Marner, 19 goals, 41 assists, 60 points. 60 for Mitch Marner. That price tag goes up all the time. And he's not talking, his agent's not talking to the Leafs till the end of the year about a new contract. I really don't blame him. Tavares, 29 goals, 23 assists. Riley, 13 goals, 34 assists. Matthews, 20 goals, 22 assists. Kapanen, 15 goals, 14 assists. Kadri, 10 goals, 18 assists. Gardner, 2 goals, 22 assists. Marleau, 11 goals, 11 assists. Janssen, 10 goals, 12 assists. And Zach Hyman, 8 goals, 9 assists now with that empty netter last night. Scoring leaders for Florida: Huberdeau, 12 goals, 35 assists. Barkov, 17 goals, 27 assists. Hoffman, 22 goals, 19 assists. Dadonov, 18 goals, 19 assists. Yandel, 6 goals, 30 assists. Vetrano, 13 goals, 7 assists. Ekblad, 8 goals, 10 assists. McCann, 7 goals, 10 assists. Matheson, 2 goals, 13 assists. Trocheck's still there, 3 goals, 11 assists. Hasn't been anybody able to push him off the board yet from under. But we're getting close. There's a couple of players that have 11 points for Florida. Anyways, goaltenders. I fully expect Sparks here. Sparks is 6-2-1, 3.00 goals against, 905 save percentage, and a shutout. Anderson's 21-10-1, 2.53 goals against, 923 save percentage, and a shutout for him. Florida, Luongo. Does that sound good? No? Well, probably who it's going to be. Reimer's 8-8-5, 3.21 goals against, 893 save percentage, no shutouts. Luongo's 8-11-1, 3.35 goals against, 892 save percentage, and a shutout. The Atlantic Division, Toronto resides in second, and they're 1 point ahead of Boston. Whereas Florida is now 14 points out of the playoffs. Playoffs aren't going to happen for Florida, not this year. And yeah, you have to wonder at what point do they really pull the plug? And I'm wondering personally, as somebody who is kind of a fan of Florida, and I am, and that's what makes it more frustrating, is if I cheer for a team down south, they're just going to suck this year. Apparently Dallas and Florida just absolutely. I don't know what they're going to do about their goaltending. I don't know which goaltender they pick up. I don't know if they find like what Carolina did with a McElhinney or what they do, but they have to do something with their goaltending. It's kind of too late for this year, though, isn't it? All right, next up, Detroit. The Red Wings in against the Calgary Flames, and it's kind of a trap game for Calgary, and yet it's Detroit. I like Detroit's moxie. I like their effort. I do. I like the young kids they got in the lineup. I think they have a good, promising lineup. I also think that Calgary, coming off of a loss against Buffalo, might be a little ornery. Tonight could get ugly. The Red Wings are 18-23-7. Calgary's 30-13-5. So they're looking to maintain their position at the top of the division against a team that doesn't look great. Detroit is 3-6-1 in their last 10. Detroit has won 2 in a row. But on the road, they're 8-11-3. Whereas Calgary, they're 7-1-2 in their last 10. They've lost their last game, of course, which was an overtime loss against Buffalo. At home, they're 15-4-5. So the numbers definitely favor the Flames in this one. It's a nice looking game, though. You've got both teams wearing red and white jerseys. It's a nice looking game. Larkin will lead the way in scoring for Detroit, 18 goals, 27 assists. Nyquist, 11 goals, 29 assists. Of course, rumor has it, Detroit's starting point, if you want to Brett Nyquist or Howard, first-round draft picks. To which, as a GM, depending on where that draft pick might fall, I might either hang up or I might say, well, can you throw in... Because, yeah, it's a steep price, I think. Unless you can trade for Nyquist and you can extend him that same time. So unless that's maybe Detroit says, well, if you extend him, then that's another first rounder. Anyways, Nyquist, 40 points. Athanasiou, 17 goals, 11 assists. Bertuzzi, 13 goals and 12 assists. Nielsen, 7 goals, 18 assists. Vanek, 9 goals, 11 assists. Mantha, 11 goals, 7 assists. Green, 3 goals, 14 assists. Cholowski, 7 goals, 9 assists. And Glendening rounds out the top 10 with 6 goals and 9 assists. On the Flames side of things, Gaudreau, 28 goals, 43 assists, 71 points. I do think he probably wins the Hart. I do. Monahan, 25 goals, 33 assists. Tkachuk, 24 goals, 31 assists. Lindholm, 21 goals, 34 assists. Giordano, 9 goals, 39 assists. Backlund, 10 goals, 15 assists. Hanifin, 4 goals, 20 assists. Looking good. Brody, 5 goals, 15 assists. Jankowski, 7 goals, 12 assists. And Frolik, 11 goals, 6 assists. Rounds out your top 10 for the Flames. Goaltending side of things, I expect Howard. But Bernier shows up whenever I expect Howard. Bernier's 5-11-2, 3.54 goals against, 892 save percentage. Howard, 13-12-5, 2.71 goals against, 917 save percentage. 25 points ahead of Bernier, and they keep playing Bernier. It's so weird. On the goaltending side of things for Calgary, I expect Smith. It's Detroit. I expect Smith. Smith's 13-9-1, 3.00 goals against, 888 save percentage, 2 shutouts. Riddick 17-4-4, 2.5 goals against, 917 save percentage, and 1 shutout. Detroit is 13 points out of the playoffs, which means they're 1 point ahead of Florida. That's how far Florida's fallen. And of course, first in the Pacific is the Calgary Flames. They are ahead of number 2 San Jose by 2 points. So San Jose is 2 points back of them. They can stretch that to 4 with a win tonight, and they are 5 points ahead of Vegas right now. So they can stretch that to 7 with a win tonight. And really, really solid season Calgary's had, and this is one of those be careful kind of games. Be careful, don't underestimate your opposition, and you should be okay. But again, I kind of expect to see Smith in this one. All right, next up, Islanders, the mighty Isles. They're this close to a folk song being written about them. This has become such an epic tale. 27-15-4 is their record now. They're in against 27-14-5 Washington. So they are 1 point back of the Washington Capitals and the Columbus Blue Jackets for first in the division. Who'd have thunk it? Not very many of us. Not very many of us would have believed that the Islanders would be in this position. If this doesn't prove that Barry Trotz is a fantastic coach, nothing will. 8-2 is the record of the Islanders in their last 10. They've won 3 in a row. On the road, they're 14-8-1. I gotta say that the Islanders right now are so far ahead of the curve. I did not anticipate this happening the year after they lost Tavares. The Capitals are 4-4-2 in their last 10. They've lost 3 in a row. At home, they're 13-7-3. So some cracks definitely forming for the Washington Capitals. They can spackle some of them up by beating the Islanders at home tonight. Their advantage is that the Islanders played last night. So if the Capitals can outlast them early and put a bunch of pressure on them, we may see a victory for Washington. It might even be a convincing one because the Islanders played last night. Could be. Anyways, top scorers for the Islanders. Barzal, 13 goals, 30 assists. Lee, 18 goals, 19 assists. Bailey, 10 goals, 25 assists. Nelson, 16 goals, 15 assists. Eberle, 11 goals, 12 assists. Filppula, 10 goals, 10 assists. Cizikas, 11 goals, 8 assists. Pulak, 3 goals, 16 assists. Beauvillier, 12 goals, 6 assists. And Nick Leddy's up there with 1 goal and 17 assists. Keep wishing Johnny Boychuk was up there. I miss when Johnny Boychuk was a good offensive defenseman. But he's still good at his job. Washington side of things. Ovechkin, of course, leads them. 33 goals, 19 assists. Backstrom, 12 goals, 34 assists. Carlson, 6 goals, 37 assists. Kuznetsov, 8 goals, 30 assists. Vrana, 15 goals and 11 assists. Connolly, 9 goals, 15 assists. Wilson, 13 goals, 9 assists. Oshie, 14 goals, 7 assists. Eller, 6 goals, 14 assists. And Niskanen, 5 goals, 11 assists. Rounds out your top 10 for the Washington Capitals. Goaltenders. Leonard played last night, so it'll be Grace. And yet, Leonard only faced 17 shots last night, so we'll see. Leonard's 14-7-3 now with a 2.11 goals against, 928 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. Wow. Grice is 13-8-1, 2.62 goals against, 918 save percentage, and 1 shutout. Holtby, I would expect to start tonight. He's 17-10-1, 2.85 goals against, 912 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. Copley, who's been lit up a bit lately, 10-4-2 now with a 2.91 goals against, 905 save percentage, and a shutout. Of course, this is where it's interesting. Technically, the Islanders third in the Met, but they're only 1 point behind first and second, whereas the Capitals are squashed in between Columbus and the Islanders. If Columbus loses in regulation and the Capitals win this one in regulation, they can say, well, we're first, we're good, we're fine. But if they lose to the Isles, Columbus loses, and if Pittsburgh wins this one over here, we're back to that whole argument about how the Metro Division is really, really close. That argument was going on for a lot of last year, where it was like 7 points separated first through eighth. It was some ridiculous number like that for a lot of last season. And this kind of shows just how competitive that division mostly is. And then you've got Philadelphia, New Jersey, and the Rangers sort of keeping things cool towards the bottom. And Carolina trying to show that they belong with these teams, but it's quite the pace that's being kept by the best teams in the division. All right, last but not least, Pittsburgh. The Penguins. Should be an angry bunch tonight, which is bad news for Arizona. Arizona, of course, is coming off of a game where they scored a lot of goals. So usually, the pattern followed by the Arizona Coyotes is this. They'll have a game where they score 5 or 6 goals. Sometimes it's 4. Qualifies as a bunch for them. And then we'll see them get shut out in the next game or score 3 goals in their next 2 games or 4 in their next 3 games. So it doesn't bode well going into tonight, but maybe the momentum can be picked up on by Arizona because they really are in the playoff hunt. They are absolutely in the playoff hunt. 25-15-6 is the record of the Pittsburgh Penguins. They are the number 2 wild card in the East. 21-22-3 is the record of the Arizona Coyotes. They are 4 points out of the playoffs, which shows you just how different it is in the East from the West. Over their last 10, Pittsburgh 7-3, but they've lost 2 in a row. On the road, they're now 12-7-4. The Arizona Coyotes are 5-4-1 in their last 10. Of course, they won their last game, and at home, they're now 9-12-2. So their home record's still not where you want it to be, and I would call attention to that and point towards Florida and say, see, this is kind of where your attendance ends up. Carolina starts winning some games, and their attendance goes up. It's that simple. You win, you'll attract fans. So for Arizona, if they can make this work and actually get into the playoffs, their attendance should, in all theory and likelihood, go up. Scoring leaders for Pittsburgh: Crosby, 20 goals, 35 assists. Kessel, 18 goals, 31 assists. Malkin, 14 goals, 36 assists. Jake Gensel, 23 goals, 21 assists for him. Letang, 11 goals, 28 assists. Hornquist, 15 goals, 11 assists. Rust, 11 goals, 11 assists. Simone, 6 goals, 12 assists. Pearson and Broussard round out your top 10. Both of them have 8 goals and 6 assists for the Pittsburgh Penguins. On the Arizona side of things, Keller, 9 goals, 23 assists. Galchenyuk, 8 goals, 17 assists, which means he's pushed Schmaltz down. Galchenyuk, I know I'm hard on Alex Galchenyuk. I think a lot of it has to do with we see what Domi's done with Montreal, and that I think indirectly will put some pressure on Galchenyuk. Like, okay, well, what's your claim that you're going to be just as good as Domi and prove that this trade wasn't so one-sided? Galchenyuk's numbers will be better if not for injury this year. Probably would be their number 1 scorer. I think where Galchenyuk's kind of left me wanting is that goal-scoring talent that he showed in Montreal early on. I keep waiting to see that really strong goal-scoring, 30 goals every year kind of player. So I'm still waiting on that, so yeah, I'm definitely hard on him. Schmaltz, 7 goals, 18 assists. Ekman Larson, 6 goals, 18 assists. Stepan, 8 goals, 11 assists. Panik, 10 goals, 8 assists. Richardson, 11 goals, 5 assists. Goligoski, 2 goals, 14 assists. Cousin, 5 goals, 10 assists for Cousins. Fisher, 11 goals, 3 assists. Rounds out your top 10 for the Arizona Coyotes. And Fisher, if he could get assists like he gets goals. Anyways, goaltenders. I kind of expect a Smith here. Murray's now 13-6-1, 2.91 goals against, 911 save percentage, 3 shutouts, so his numbers have come down. DeSmith, 12-8-4, 2.53 goals against, 921 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. So the numbers are better on DeSmith's side. I would expect Kemper here. Kemper's now 9-11-3, 2.68 goals against, 913 save percentage, and a shutout. Pickard would be the backup, 4-2-2. 4.01 goals against, 863 save percentage, and a shutout for him. Of course, those numbers are all from Philadelphia. As I said, your second wild card team is Pittsburgh, and Arizona's 4 points out of the playoffs. For the record, Pittsburgh's 2 points back of the New York Islanders, so if the Islanders lose in regulation, Pittsburgh wins in regulation, everything's all kind of up in chaos again in the Met, because that's kind of how the Met likes things. So there you go. 7 games on the schedule for tonight. Let me know what you guys think. And, of course, tomorrow we've got 11 because it's Saturday. But let me know your winners, your picks for tonight. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. Just tapping upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.